Good afternoon, I'm Vashon Brown with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. A reminder as well that you can watch TVJ live by downloading our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1 followed by the words Spot Media. St. Andrew businessman Patrick Powell was convicted today for failing to hand over his licensed firearm to the authorities in the 2011 shooting of 17-year-old Kajil Mays. We now join our reporter Herman Green, who is at the St. Andrew Parish Court. Herman?
Thank you, Vashon. Well, Parish Judge Vaughn Smith handed down the ruling about 45 minutes ago. The businessman Patrick Powell found guilty of failing to hand over his licensed firearm for inspection as it relates to the shooting death of Kajil Mays in 2011. Now, the case had been going on for the past 6 years, and in his defense, Mr. Powell had pointed out that he was basically exercising his constitutional right to be silent and to have his attorney present for any form of questioning. However, Judge Smith dismissed that argument in court this morning. He basically said Mr. Powell, as a licensed firearm holder, had a responsibility, a duty to hand over the firearm as is lined out in the Firearm Licensing Authority Act. So basically with that ruling, he said he found Mr. Powell guilty as charged. Now, the sentencing has been put off until the 9th of August. That is when we'll have the date. There is some discrepancy as far as our understanding of the fine for that charge. Fine or time, that is. So we don't have the exact figure. Why that is? Because some time ago, there was supposed to be a revision of the charge that would apply to this charge, raising it from about $400, which was on the books for a couple of years back, to some $400,000, approximate figures there. We're not sure if that was done. It was done actually, but we're not sure if it will actually apply to this case since it's coming from 2011. So we'll be following up on that. Well, so the sentencing has been put off until the 9th of August, when he'll come back to court. His bail has been extended until then. And we'll continue following this just to hear how it turns out. Vashon, for now, it's back to you in studio.
And thank you so much, Herman. Of course, that was our reporter, Herman Green, who was reporting live from the St. Andrew Parish Court, where the St. Andrew businessman Patrick Powell was convicted today for failing to hand over his licensed firearm to the authorities in the 2011 shooting of 17-year-old Kajil Mays. Investigators have linked 5 fires in the communities of Buckner and Farm in Clarendon since Saturday to a feud between criminal gangs. 2 of the fires happened on Saturday morning in an area known as Long Gully, located between the 2 communities. The other 3 took place yesterday morning. Head of the Clarendon Police, Superintendent Vendelin Cameron Powell, told our news center that there was an alarming discovery at one of the locations.
We saw at Rectory land 2 inside one of those, a burnt out body. Also, over in another section of Long Gully, we realized that another home was also burnt out. And across from where the body was identified in that house, another one. So far since Saturday, 5 houses in the section there, which is behind both communities. And the situation is not looking good, and I am trying to identify the causes why citizens are getting rid of others' property in such a manner.
And the Superintendent Cameron Powell gave details on the discovery of the body in the burnt-out house.
Relatives came and identified based on knowledge as Mr. Michael Backus, but based on the fact that the body is in the state that it is in, we'll have to look seriously at further technology in terms of identification.
Superintendent Cameron Powell disclosed that the fires in Long Gully were started by young persons. She's appealing to them to report to the police. With the Zones of Special Operations Bill set to become law within the next 10 days, the Jamaica Defense Force, JDF, is moving to increase the level of human rights awareness for its members. Concerns have been expressed that the proposed legislation, which will give the security forces certain powers to tackle serious crimes, could lead to possible breaches of human rights. It's against this background that the JDF is training 30 members in the preservation of human rights and the fundamental freedoms. In a statement on Monday, Media Affairs Officer for the JDF, Major Basil Jarrett, said the training includes certifying soldiers to acceptable international human rights and fundamental freedom standards. At the end of the training, these soldiers will be human rights instructors. Meanwhile, the JDF has advised that it will be conducting live firing exercises at the Twickenham Park Gallery Range in St. Catherine from today until Thursday, July 13. According to the JDF, residents should not be alarmed by the presence of soldiers in the community. However, they are asked to secure livestock until the end of the training and also not to interfere with and/or move security flags and notifications. In the event that unexploded ordnances or paraphernalia are found, residents are asked to report it to the JDF headquarters at telephone number 960-8776. Members of the public who may have concerns about the presence of soldiers in their area may contact the JDF also at telephone number 960-8776. A major search is now underway for 16-year-old Jada Jackson of Dasher Farm, Maryland in the United States of America, who has been missing since Sunday, July 9. She's of brown complexion, slim build, and is about 5 feet 3 inches tall. Reports from the Whithorn police are that Jada was last seen about 1:20 p.m. at a house in Roaring River, Westmoreland, where she was staying. At the time, she was wearing a yellow prop-top blouse, blue jeans, and a pair of black sneakers. She was also carrying a brown bag. All efforts to contact her have proven futile. Now, anyone knowing the whereabouts of Jada Jackson is being asked to contact the Whithorn police at 955-2758, Police 119 emergency number, or the nearest police station. The 19-year-old man arrested in connection with last week's motor vehicle mishap along the Portmore leg of Highway 2000, in which one person was killed and 17 injured, remains behind bars. A senior investigator at the Greater Portmore Police Station told our news center that detectives are still collecting statements with a view to laying charges against him. The victims were passengers in a minibus which developed a flat tire near the Portmore exit on Highway 2000 Thursday night. They were standing near the bus when a car driven by the 19-year-old plowed into them. A woman died on the spot while the other passengers were injured. One of the persons lost a leg. A businessman was arrested yesterday in connection with the seizure of 22 bottles of rum in Manchester. The businessman is expected to be charged with the seizure. Head of the Manchester Police, Superintendent Wayne Cameron, says he's anticipating a reduction in break-ins following these two latest operations, as it has provided the police with some critical pieces of information. On Sunday, the police seized furniture and appliances with an estimated value of $5 million. Police believe that the appliances were stolen from houses and business places in the parish. The National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, has conceded that it could have been more accommodating to residents of Duncan's Bay in Trelawney in the process leading up to the granting of a permit for beach sand mining in the area. NEPA CEO Peter Knight explained that even though the views of stakeholders were taken into account, the process could have incorporated more feedback. The complaint has been raised by the Jamaica Environment Trust, JET, and the Duncan's Bay Citizens Association. The association's president, Delroy Boswell, stated that, among other things, not enough notice was given about the project. The residents also explained that they were ignored because there was no response to letters sent to NEPA. Speaking yesterday on Beyond the Headlines, Mr. Knight responded.
I am not disputing what he said, but what I would like to clarify is that Mr. Boswell's reflection may very well be a little bit of lack of care on the part of the National Environment, and I hasten to say that. But I can tell you that his views and the views of all the residents in that area was properly represented. They were properly represented. If you look at the conditions that the minister eventually put on paper, it was because of the influence that we had, and the minister accepted it.
Meanwhile, Chief Executive Officer of the Jamaica Environment Trust, Diana Macaulay, is calling for Jamaicans to join the fight in protecting the environment. Speaking with TVJ News on Monday, Ms. Macaulay argues that the more persons get involved, the more Jamaica will see the authorities making better decisions in favor of the environment rather than developers. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie says $250 million has been allocated for the purchase of 17 additional trucks for the National Solid Waste Management Authority, the NSWMA. He said the trucks, which should be procured by the end of the financial year, will boost the fleet of garbage collection units. The NSWMA has acquired 11 new garbage trucks since the start of the year and will receive 6 more by the end of this month. And still overseas, a U.S. Marine Corps transport plane crashed in rural western Mississippi yesterday afternoon, killing all 16 service members who were on board. Investigations are still underway.
Thick black smoke rising from the ground after a U.S. Marine Corps airplane crashed Monday near Greenwood, Mississippi. All 16 people on board the KC-130 were killed. Their identities haven't been released. The FBI is on the scene along with the LaFleur County Sheriff's Department, state and local agents, as well as first responders. Secretary of the Interior Ryan Zinke, a Navy SEAL, issued a statement on Twitter saying, "Please join me in praying for or sending good thoughts to the families and unit of the Marines we lost." Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant also issued a statement honoring the lives lost, saying, "Our men and women in uniform risk themselves every day to secure our freedom." Officials say they should have more information about the fatal crash later today.
And we go now to sports. After scoring back-to-back double tons in the nation's top cricket competition, one local player has been left disappointed following last Friday's Professional Cricket League draft.
2 double centuries, but still no place for Kingston Cricket Club batsman Garth Garvey on the Jamaica Scorpions roster for the 2017-18 regional 4-day season.
Well, I'm a bit disappointed, yes, but you know, I just have to continue to do what I'm doing. Score a back-to-back double is the first in the history of Jamaica cricket that ever happened, but you know, I can't select myself, so I just have to wait until the right time comes, and then I see what the selector have in plans for me or in store for me. And I was listening to the draft, and I didn't hear Garvey get picked for, you know, any of the team, and hurt me a little bit because, you know, I work with Garth, and Garth is really my dream partner, and I played with Garth from under 15 cricket, and to see how Garth is really working so hard and, you know, making so much on the Senior Cup. Garth is the only person I ever hear make back-to-back double century in Senior Cup.
But why was Garvey overlooked?
It's a democratic process, so the selector would have looked at everything and look at it and selected those 13 local-based players. So majority of players who have been contracted have come through in terms of senior team, whereby they get into Jamaica setup, start the progress there, then they get contracted. Hardly anybody who get contracted the very first time without being in the setup before.
The former St. Jago High Star has proved to be miles apart from all others in the local Senior Cup competition, but has still not found a favor with Scorpion selectors following Friday's draft, but still has hopes of featuring for the Jamaican franchise.
All players that playing in the local league really want a contract, but if it comes down to that, I have to get the players that play, then I have to satisfy that, you know, God never gave a man more than what he can bear, so I just have to continue putting the hard work.
But with all that has happened, what signal has this sent to players in the domestic league?
Well, I think it's a bad signal, but I'm not the person who could give you a good answer, and that maybe we'll check the JCA. They will maybe address this question better than me, you know.
It's not an odd signal to anyone playing the Senior Cup. God will probably possibly enjoy his best season of his career this year. So all God needs to do is just continue that same vein, and there's no doubt that we'll definitely be a part of it.
The regional 4-day tournament is set to start in November. Renardo Brown for TVJ Sports.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Vashon Brown. Join us at 7 for a Primetime News package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.